Coastlines are incredibly flexible bodies, forever moving and changing with the world around them. However, we as people are less flexible and finding the movement of our coastlines difficult to manage, afraid that the growth or decrement of the shore will erode past developments, afraid to change and adapt with what is to become new. Ocean is the geological process where Earth materials are worn away by natural forces of wind or water. When waves crash against the shore, small quantities of sand are slowly deposited away from the beach. Over time, as more sediment is removed from the area, the shoreline can begin to erode. There are different types of erosion. Rapid onset, which occurs very quickly over a period of days to weeks and is usually caused by extreme weather events like coastal storms, flooding, or from a tsunami. The other types of coastal erosion is slow onset, which takes a period of decades to centuries to occur, and is the natural removal of sediment from the movement of currents, tides, and waves. Although there are natural layers to coastal erosion, in recent years, because of human interaction, the rate of coastal shrinkage has risen to 0.5 to 2 metres per year. Dependent on the coastline of an area, some places in the world can feel a different extent of the effects of coastal erosion. Located directly north of Fremantle Port is Port Beach, which is among the top erosion hotspots in Australia over the past 5 years. There is an average loss of 15,000 cubic metres of sediment per year, and with a more storm-active season, this loss can rise to almost 40,000 cubic metres. Coastal erosion causes the land to surrender to the water, forcing coastal living places to be displaced inward and reducing human living space. Port Beach is specifically challenged with the loss of infrastructure and land, reduction of property values, and biodiversity in the area.
What is the biggest misconception about coastal erosion?
Yeah, so I think the biggest misconception would be that it can be prevented or stopped. I think coastal erosion is more a thing that needs to be managed and dealt with, and with ongoing monitoring and adaptation measures over time, and sort of long-term planning to deal with any new developments or deal with any infrastructure or assets that are at risk. It's depending on the location, erosion is really complex. You've got seasonal erosion occurring at different locations, and so erosion at one location in winter can actually feed beaches in another area, and then you get the reversal in summer. So depending on location, time of year, you've got different assets that are at risk. And then obviously long-term trends in erosion as well. So you need to try and manage that, and you can't simply stop it. I guess if you want to maintain a beach that's usable and accessed for the public and everything, there's not a lot you can do in terms of stopping erosion. You just need to manage it. So you could build a last line of defence in terms of a physical seawall that will stop erosion behind that wall, but in the process you'll end up losing access to the beach and losing the beach. The preferred strategy is really dependent on the location, the coastal risks at that location, and the assets at risk, and plans for long-term development. So it's a hard one to answer. And those coastal risks can be are very different for an open coastline with wave impacts and erosion compared with low-lying areas which will be inundated from high water levels. So yeah, it's very dependent on that. For the city of Wanneroo, I guess in sort of built-up, developed areas where there's coastal erosion issues on an open coast with assets and infrastructure at risk, I guess our preferred strategy would be to protect, and protect in a way that we still are able to maintain a usable beach and beach amenity for the public. So one example that we've done recently at Quinns is installing groin structures that act to retain additional sand within the beach compartments created by the groins, and build a wider and usable beach, and in doing that beach provides the protection to the adjacent assets. So trying to get a balance between protection and still maintaining that beach amenity.
Currently, the City of Fremantle has partnered with the Department of Transport and Fremantle Ports and been allocated a $3.25 million portion of the WA recovery and funding from the Western Australian Government to fund a rehabilitation project along Port Beach. This partnership intends to put in place a sand nourishment program to refurnish the beach with sediment. The works have the intent to protect the shore for up to the next 10 years. However, longer-term solutions, such as seawalls, artificial reefs, and regeneration, are under analysis of their suitability for Port Beach. Facing such a large challenge, any attempts we make as people to manage the conflict of coastal erosion seem feeble. However, the simple act of you as an individual watching this documentary is helpful. You are educating yourself on a matter most people don't see. The absence of awareness of environmental challenges amongst the public is one of the greatest struggles climate activists face. We don't just need investors or coastal engineers or environmentalists. We also need voices, even small ones, like yours.